All right, welcome to the explainer. So if you've ever tried to learn Mandarin and just felt completely overwhelmed, you are in the right place. Today, we're going to break down a method that's all about less pain and way more progress. Let's dive right in.
You've seen them, right? The videos that pop up everywhere promising you can learn Chinese in 30 minutes or master 1,000 characters in a month. I mean, become fluent in the time it takes to watch a movie. Sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it?
Well, let's just get this out of the way. The honest truth? Yeah, that's not going to happen. The source material we looked at is super clear on this. Those claims are totally unrealistic. They just set you up for disappointment. That feeling of, all pain and absolutely no gain. Okay, so if all those magic shortcuts are a myth, what's the least painful way to actually get fluent? Let's dig into the approach that successful learners really use. And spoiler alert, it's about commitment, not clickbait. First things first, we've got to talk about the Mandarin learning myth. This is all about realizing it's a marathon, not a sprint. Before we get into any techniques, we have to start with the right mindset. This is the absolute foundation for everything. And here it is, the core mindset. You have to see this as a long-term commitment. Seriously. Learning a language like Mandarin takes years of consistent effort. We're not talking weeks or days here. It's about building a real deep connection with the language over time. And just to be super clear, there are no magic hacks. There isn't some secret trick that's going to get you there overnight. The whole point isn't to find a shortcut, it's to find a process that you can actually stick with, something sustainable, and maybe even enjoyable for the long haul. Okay, so now that we've got that mindset locked in, let's talk about a more natural way to do this. We're going to look at the method of some really successful learners. And get this, some of them got fluent without ever even going to China. So you gotta wonder, right? How did these learners get so good without traditional study? The source author was kind of puzzled by this too. They were seeing students having full-blown natural conversations, and they did it mostly on their own. So what was their secret? Well, the method is something called immersion learning, and it basically relies on one main activity: listening. A lot. The short answer is listening. And honestly, the long answer is also listening. It's about constantly hearing the language as much as you possibly can. And think about what that means. With immersion, you can pretty much drop the textbooks. You can stop memorizing endless flashcards. You can let go of all those rigid grammar drills. It's about just submerging yourself in the language. It feels way more natural. So why does this work so well? Well, it's about learning like a child, but with adult superpowers. To really get why this is so powerful, we just have to think back to how every single one of us learned our first language. I mean, think about it. When you were a kid, you didn't memorize rules or use flashcards, right? Your brain just soaked up thousands and thousands of hours of input. It learned from context, and everything just happened naturally. It didn't feel like homework. But here's the cool part. This isn't about being a baby. As an adult, you have some serious advantages. Your brain can process info way faster. You have tools, to look things up. You get to choose what you listen to. And you have way more life experience to understand the context. All right, so let's get into how immersion actually works. How does your brain do this magic trick of building a whole new language just from listening? Okay, context is absolutely key. Let's use a super simple example. Imagine you hear someone say, "This bee is yellow and this bee is blue." Now, you have no idea what a bee is, but your brain automatically analyzes the context, the words yellow and blue, and figures out that bee must be the object they're talking about. It's a natural process. And to make this whole thing work even better, you want to focus on what's called comprehensible input. Basically, stick to content where you understand at least some of what's being said. That gives your brain more context to work with, making it way easier to connect the dots between what you know and what you don't. Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But now for the big question, the too busy problem. What if you just don't have hours to sit down and learn? I mean, this is the reality for most of us, isn't it? I'm super busy. I don't have hours a day to dedicate to this. You've got work, family, a million other things. Finding that dedicated study time can feel pretty much impossible.
Well, here's the solution. It's called passive learning. This is the real game changer. It's just the act of listening to Mandarin in the background while you're doing something else. You're creating this little environment where learning just happens almost on its own.
And you can squeeze this into so many parts of your day, like while you're doing chores, the dishes, laundry, during your commute, whether you're driving or on the bus, while you're at the gym, or even just as you're getting ready in the morning. Just having it on, it makes a huge difference.
Okay, let's wrap this all up. Let's talk about your path to fluency and the key takeaways here.
So here it is, the real path. First, prioritize listening and absorbing over hardcore studying. Second, be consistent. A little bit every single day is so much better than cramming once a week. Third, follow your interests. Choose content you actually like. And finally, just give it time. Let the language become a natural part of you.
At the end of the day, this isn't about finding the perfect app or the perfect book. It's just about starting to listen. So the only real question is, what's the first thing you'll listen to?